Alright, so it's time to do some upgrades to the white truck. One of the things I've always been chasing is a quicker ratio rack, and I've tried a few quick ratio racks, but they don't really perform like they're advertising. So this rack is from a performance Foxbody Mustang, and it has, if you look at, I did some calculations here, I did math. Anyways, so this has 5 inches of travel lock to lock, and it's only 3 turns lock to lock, which is a pretty significant improvement over the manual rack, which is 4 turns lock to lock, and you only get 4 1/4 inches of travel out of that, so it's not as good. So I'm going to change that out. This is a depowered rack, means I pulled all the fittings out of it, and so I'm just going to run it in manual mode because you don't need power on these trucks. And then all you have to do is change the lower joint, so not a big deal. And then I'm also going to run these guys. These are my steel arms. These are just prototypes. I'm going to throw them on there. These allow you to run bags, coilovers, whatever you want to do. They're still shim adjustable, so they're not adjustable control arms like the fancy ones, but these should be significantly cheaper and open up the market for more guys to run coilovers, bags, and all that good stuff. So these also use a factory Toyota joint instead of the K772. Nothing wrong with the K772, but when you go to replace them, it's a hot pain, and these are just 4 bolts. So yeah, there we go. So I'm going to throw this on the truck and see how it goes. Alright, so one of the more difficult parts about putting a rat kit in is cutting your inner tie rods, measuring and cutting your inner tie rods. So what you want to do is essentially eyeball your brake and everything so it's straight. This one is uncut, that side is already cut, so I have to work with this. But as you can see, if I put the tie rod end here, you would see how much thread is sticking into this. And the rod end comes into about the F, right? So you have stab worth of threading here to thread these on, and this one, if I thread it on and put it on, it's just too long. So what I really need to do is cut off roughly, well, I'm gonna eyeball. So if I was centered to here and I want to cut off where it says F, or where the F starts, so that's roughly 1 inch. So you're going to take about 1 inch off of this side, and that should be fine. That'll allow plenty of threads on the inside to hold everything on, and then enough room to adjust toe in and out. And so that's the situation. So you want to basically eyeball these things, center the rack, straighten your wheel, eyeball these at where they're going to go. And so that's roughly right there. So I'm going to take about 1 inch off this thing. It's not, doesn't have to be super scientific. You're just cutting stuff off. But you know, it's easier to cut more off. You can't add threads once you've already cut it off. So take a little off, screw it on, see how it fits. Make sure you still have enough adjustment to go too far, because you want to be able to set the alignment properly. But you don't want like 4 threads holding this whole thing on. The rule of thumb is that whatever the diameter of this is, and this is 9/16, so you need at least 9/16 worth of threads on there. But again, like I want a solid 1 inch worth of threads on there so I can adjust this, and it's got plenty of teeth holding everything on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut 1 inch off this. So the next plan of attack here is going to be the control arms. I'm going to do the difficult side here because, as you can see, there's a giant fucking turbo right there. Garrett motion, baby. Anywho, let's dive into this piece. Alright, so first side's in. Wasn't too bad. It's kind of a snug fit in there, and obviously the shims aren't going to be very fun to deal with, but these are budget arms, so. Plenty of room back here. I can get a whole finger in there. And this is obviously at full droop, so when they're at ride height, there'll be more clearance and be kind of more level, so. Not too bad. Alright, other side. Alright, well I got both sides in. It's pretty smooth, other than there being a gigantic turbo here, but still went in pretty smooth, and I'm going to try and add some shims before I take it to Chassis Works to have them dial everything in, but got the rack in, and both control arms. It's pretty smooth. It's not that big of a job really, just a little bit tedious. So again, these are just prototype arms. I'm going to change them up a little bit for the production run and maybe do urethane bushings or design the sleeves for urethane bushings, because these rubber bushings are a little bit soft, but that's the situation. And again, factory Toyota ball joints. Well, there you go. Off to Chassis Works it goes to get dialed in. And there you go.